You are listening to Match Point Canada, the official podcast of Tennis Canada. I'm Ben Lewis, and happy to be joined now by a professional tennis player who just a few years ago did hold the top spot as Canada's top ranked singles player on the women's side. She's also a former junior doubles champion at the Australian Open. Carol Zhao, thanks so much for joining us on Match Point Canada this week.
Thank you, Ben. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, no, it's great to talk to you. And look, I think for you, it's been a long road back for you to get back to playing professional matches, competing again. Maybe you can tell us just a bit about what the last year or so has looked like for you. Obviously, navigating a pandemic and probably navigating some injuries as well.
Totally, yeah. So starting from, I guess, around Roland Garros 2018, I've had like an elbow injury, and which lasted me, took me to um the better part of 2019, and I was ready to come back in 2020, and obviously the pandemic hit. So it's a bit unfortunate timing for me, but always have continued training hard, continue believing in the process, and just really happy to and really grateful to have the opportunity to travel now and get back to playing and building matches and everything like that. So
For 2020, were there maybe was it in some aspects maybe career wise a blessing in disguise that you didn't have to rush anything back? Did you feel like health wise you were fully ready to go, or was it maybe helpful to actually get a bit more extra time, do you think?
well, it would have been perfect for me if the pandemic had started in 2019. We'll put it that way. Yeah. So in 2020, I was pretty ready to go. And had spent the latter part of 2019 getting ready to come back. So just kind of actually like solidified for me that this is what I want to continue doing, because it's not so easy to sort of trug along the rehab process without any tournaments or competitive opportunities in sight. So for me, like, it really solidified for me that this is what I want to continue doing. And yeah.
Yeah, it feels like more than a few Canadians on our circuit, men and women, have their share of like great comeback stories, which is terrific to see. And I was thinking of that when I was watching Canada compete at the Billie Jean King Cup, and you're alongside players like Rebecca Marino, of course, who had a long
Mm-hmm.
layoff. Bianca couldn't make it, but of course she's dealt with injuries. Sharon Fishman
Mm-hmm.
had a brief retirement.
Of
Um,
course.
what was that experience like, getting to play a team event alongside fellow Canadians? And were you guys able to maybe bond in that sense that you've kind of all been through these sort of trials and tribulations in your career, but are still sticking to it?
Totally, totally. Well, first of all, it's always a privilege to represent Canada at Billie Jean King Cup. And to get the win with Rebecca was really nice. Cherry on top. And yeah, I mean, I also traveled with Rebecca the week after to Portugal, and we sort of bonded a little bit more over our shared sort of um, I guess, I mean, I wouldn't say like shared career trajectories,
Mm.
because she's obviously a lot more experienced than I am at this stage. But we've gone through some similar things with having to come back, and especially now coming back in this environment and like during the COVID tour, if you will, where it's a little bit more challenging and very competitive. So yeah, there's definitely stuff we bond over. And with Sharon, she's always been sort of like a sister figure to me, really. Being a bit older and also being from Toronto, and we always used to train a lot together. And so yeah, it's really nice to have teammates like that, for sure.
Yeah, and obviously a great success winning that playoff tie. So more opportunities for Canada going forward in that event. For you personally, singles wise, it felt like the third week of February for this season was big for you. Maybe felt like you truly announced your return. You reached a finals of an ITF in South Africa. How
Mhm.
important was that week maybe for your confidence in your game, just moving forward?
Very, very. Prior to this, I'd never taken, that long of a break from competing ever in my life, ever since I was maybe like 10 years old. So having taken like, over a year off and coming back, and that being, I think, my third tournament back, I think it was really important for me to sort of get a lot of matches under my belt and to get used to, learning how to win again consistently. And obviously last week in Portugal, the same thing, able to, just get through a lot of tough matches. And I think I'm at that stage now where building that momentum is really important. So yeah, it's all positives so far.
That's great to hear. In terms of, I guess, when you're making a comeback like this, it's been over a year. You start playing
Mhm.
tournaments again. You start, notching a few wins. Are you setting like short-term goals for yourself, or is it more like a bigger picture approach to 2021?
That's a great question. I mean, both. I mean, right now it's really hard to set like short-term goals because of the validity in the schedule. Things changing all the time. I mean, even the tournament in Portugal wasn't originally supposed to be in Portugal, and things are just always shifting. So, I think it's really important to keep the big picture in mind. And obviously, for me, that is to return to the slams as quickly as possible. To compete in the bigger tournaments again and give myself opportunities at that stage. So as long as that's still in focus, I think that gets the motivation and the week to week grind makes it a little easier.
Yeah, that's good. It's with obviously COVID as well. I think it is a difficult time for certain players to kind of make big leaps and bounds in the rankings, but
Hmm. Hmm.
obviously your latest results have helped in that regard. You've moved up inside to 362 in the live rankings, at least right now. Does the ranking, does that number give you stress or pressure? Like how do you approach it? Because it's a scenario. Obviously, you've been inside the top 125 before, so you've had
Hmm.
that experience of kind of feeling like you're around that top 100 as well.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, I think when I was more inside like closer to top 100, maybe you would pay more attention to it just because that it would affect your schedule and it would affect you're obviously trying to make and draw slams,
Mhm.
and like week to week you would probably pay more attention to your positioning. But I think even just like throughout this whole injury process, it's really helped me to sort of reframe what I place importance on. And I think rankings are obviously important, they get you into tournaments and stuff, but I think if the focus remains on improving your game, making sure that you're competing at the level that you want to be competing at, then I think the ranking, eventually will sort itself out. So that's where I'm at right now, I guess, currently. Especially
That's
now, it's so tough to even get into tournaments, and it's even all the ITFs, they're very very competitive. Players inside the top 300 playing qualities of an ITF. So I think any sort of um, progress is welcome at this stage.
yeah, that's a good mindset to have. And I'm just thinking in terms of the level right now across the WTA feels like very strong. And just to
Hmm.
relate back to Rebecca Marino, for example, you guys win a doubles match, and she was winning a big singles match for Canada against a
Hmm.
player who was probably almost 100 points higher than her, 100 spots higher than her in the rankings. Do you feel like,
Oh, more. I think she was in top 75. I think
wow,
Nina
so
was.
even like
Yeah.
almost 150. So do you feel
Hmm.
like there's sometimes these, not only are the rankings numbers maybe not a true reflection of every player, but like the gap is actually a lot closer than it seems?
Completely, yes. And I think especially this year, there's so much parity in women's tennis right now, and I think you'll find the gaps in level are very very slim. And I mean, we've seen a lot of players have ranked outside the top 100 have really good results this year at bigger tournaments. So I think it's a combination of continuing to work hard and being ready for the opportunities that come your way. So yeah.
And as we're speaking right now, you're in Ecuador and playing. It seems like a stretch of ITF events. Did you
Mhm.
have a team with you as well, or are you going about this solo right now?
Yeah, it's kind of been like patches of stuff these days, because first of all, it's so hard to travel outside of Canada. So for my coaching staff, it's been very hard to navigate. They were able to travel with me earlier in the year, but now with the restrictions in Canada, it's been very tough. Last week, Rebecca and I actually had Ollie Stewart. He was the Drinking Cup, and we sort of brought him along to Portugal, and so it was a nice sort of 2 weeks with him there. But right now it's just very hard to have a set plan with traveling, just given the climate.
Yeah, no kidding. So I guess in
Mhm.
terms of it, you're setting like bigger picture goals, but as for the calendar season and scheduling wise, you're kind of just taking it as it comes, I assume.
Yes, yeah, totally. It's kind of been like a week to week decision almost at this stage. So just making those decisions as we see fit with my team, and just trying to make the right one, even though there isn't an obvious right choice.
That makes sense. Obviously,
Yeah.
when you were off from the tour and
Mhm.
rehabbing injuries and still training, we did still see some plenty of content from you on social media. What I would call a nice blossoming music career as well. I know you're classically trained in piano.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
how
You
long
did
have you
your research.
Yeah, I did a little bit of research. Didn't take that much research, don't worry. How long have you been playing music for? And yeah, when did you kind of build up the passion to start, becoming a singer-songwriter, I suppose?
Well, I started learning music the same time I started tennis, actually. So I was around like 4 or 5.
Mhm.
That's kind of when I started, and had no plans to continue in either, but here we are. um, and I guess I've just always like really loved music, and I think once I got to college, was able to delve into performing and working with other musicians and stuff like that. And during quarantine, obviously, we had a lot of time. And I thought it would be a cool project to sort of see through, to sort of like release some of my own music. So
Nice.
yeah, that's been really fun.
Yeah. Okay. So and we find that kind of stuff on Spotify. Are you planning like an album, or is it just sort of when the mood strikes and you feel like you have an idea for a song, that then it kind of takes place?
Yeah. Well, I think nowadays you see more like people just like releasing singles. And so I have maybe like 2 or 3 singles coming up like later this year that we're working on.
Nice.
So you can definitely stay tuned.
All right. Well,
But yes,
that's
on Spotify and everything.
yeah, that's exciting. Unfortunately, I don't think open mics are really possible right now, but hopefully that
Hmm.
changes in the near future. Um, Carol, sometimes with our guests, we like to finish with a segment called Rapid Fire Questions. If you're up
Sure.
for it, you'll be on the spot, and yeah, just answer as truthfully as you can. Um, First question: would you call yourself a morning or night person?
Oh, night person, 100%. Yeah, I'm
Okay.
like way more alert in the night.
All right. Um, Tea or coffee?
Oof, that's tough. Probably tea, actually.
Okay. This is a tough one. What would you call maybe your most memorable match or best win of your career to date, if you had to pick
Oof,
one?
that is really, really tough. Best personal win, probably the finals of Shenzhen, which was my biggest career title. But most memorable, I mean, there's so many. Yeah, I mean, I'll just say that one for now.
Okay. Yeah, that
It's a
works.
rapid fire.
Yeah,
Not
yeah.
being very rapid.
That's fine. What is your favorite shot to hit on the tennis court?
Favorite shot to hit. Gonna go with forehand inside in.
Okay. I
Yeah.
like how specific you were. That's good.
Yeah, very specific.
Yeah. Do you have a best friend on the tour?
Best friend. I mean, I'm pretty close with a lot of the Canadian girls. I'd say like Jeannie and Gabby, and some of my closest personal friends, actually. But I think generally I'm pretty friendly with everybody.
That's good. Nice. You're in Ecuador right now, but a place you would most like to visit that you haven't been to?
Right now, I think maybe like Iceland sounds fun.
Oh, we
See
need a
like
like
living
quality
there.
tournament there. That would be great.
I know, right? Wouldn't that be cool? There's
Yeah.
no tournament up there.
No, maybe that can change.
Yeah.
A famous, or they don't need to be famous, I suppose, a person you'd most like to meet.
Person I most like to meet. Oof, that's tough. Um, oh my gosh. I hope this is edited.
No pressure.
I'm not sure. Honestly, maybe like Roger. I feel like it'd be really cool to have a conversation with Roger Federer.
Yeah, yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's been a popular pick in the past.
Okay.
Um, Last song maybe that you downloaded or listened to.
Last song I listened to was, I'm gonna pull it up real quick.
Yeah, yeah, go ahead.
um, oh, it was the new Justin Bieber. It's called Off My Face.
All right.
off of his new album. So there you
Nice.
go.
Okay. Favorite TV show to binge watch?
Favorite TV show. I haven't been watching that much TV lately, but I think the last show I binged was like The Crown.
Yeah. Okay.
Kind of like
Nice. And last one for you. If you could be any animal, what would it be and why?
I like to be like a cheetah because I want to feel um like really fast, I guess. I feel like that'd be cool.
Embody maybe the cheetah speed, but on the tennis
Hmm.
court as well, and you'd be unbeatable.
Exactly. Yes, that would be
That's
ideal.
Yeah, that's a good answer. Carol, thanks so much for catching up with us on the podcast. I think I could speak for Canadian tennis fans that we're thrilled to see you back on the tour and competing again, and we look forward to seeing more of you in the future as well.
Thanks, Ben. Yeah, really appreciate that.
Yeah, Carol Zhao, our guest on Matchpoint Canada.